What's up, boys?
Hello,
John,
hello.
what's up, sir? How are we doing today?
Doing well. How are you guys?
We're doing well. I love the white background. It's sharp.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Working from home. I have a 3-month-old now, so
Yes,
having a rare
congratulations.
work from home day. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I feel like becoming a dad in crypto is kind of weird. You start as like a unattached single male. I don't want to like overgeneralize, but it's a lot of people. And
I'm
then
there, man. Yeah.
and then you have a family, and like you're still like gambling on meme coins, and you're like, something's wrong,
Yeah, right. I mean, have you seen a token that your family would love yet? Do you ever see one and you're like, oh, they would love this?
It's so funny. I actually haven't been in the trenches, but Maggie, my wife Maggie, who listeners might know, who runs SheFi, one of the biggest kind of like female first onboarding organizations in crypto. We did kind of like a toss into some meme coins earlier this year, and I remember it was just like I think the theory was just like, did it make us laugh? Like, is it hilarious or not?
Totally.
It's the right thesis for sure.
I don't think family friendly meme coins would do well.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, John. So you're an investor at Asylum, which is a $55 million fund investing in founders that approach company building with creativity and artistry. So I'm really excited to talk. I think we see the world in pretty similar ways. I guess first, I think you took a pretty unconventional path into venture. So do you want to kind of give us the quick overview on how you ended up here?
Yeah, it's funny because like every venture investor says that. So,
I know. I was writing that question, and I'm like the same with me.
I took a very unconventional path. It's funny. My early career was very conventional. I did consulting. I did private equity. I went to business school. Super linear. And then after that, I did a thing that like I would just call entrepreneurship. I was like, I want to start my own thing, and it's funny because that's a red flag that I look for now. But I didn't know what I was doing. I wanted to start my own thing. And I bought real estate on the West Coast with a buddy of mine. We ran that as a small business. Then I incubated a food tech startup in New York. And then I actually fell into crypto via crypto Twitter. I was just like kind of tweeting about early DeFi stuff. And back then, and like I really do have a longing for those days. Like there weren't that many voices. It was really high signal. There was like real debate happening like live. Like SBF would be debating the Paradigm team on like, Clobbs versus Dexes. And like, it was like a fun time. And actually the way I got in was really just my partner, Nick, and I have known each other for 10 years. He was the founder of Notation Capital, which was one of the earliest pre-seed funds in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Did small checks into Solana at seed, near, led live peer seed, and then actually did Coinbase Cloud, which was previously known as Bison Trails. They incubated Bison Trails.
Yep.
So it was like kind of like 2018 era early crypto investor. And he's the one who kind of convinced me to like go into DeFi. And we'd wanted to work with each other for a really long time. And when he was doing his fourth fund, he decided he wanted to do it all over again with a new brand, new partners. He was like, dude, come help me build this thing. And it's very rare to get the opportunity to build something that you're excited about with a very close friend that you trust. I think about like as I get older and do business, like I realize that trust is really the only thing. Actually, maybe to abstract that further, I'm going to put this out there. This is a hot take I was thinking about in the shower this morning. I think all of what we're trying to do as a society is figuring out who's lying. Like that's, and like, crypto is like that too, right? It's like trustless technology, and like, we're trying to use, crypto was trying to use technology to prevent lying. In reality, it's really hard to prevent lying. And so in some ways, I think of that's my job as an investor too, is like try to figure out who's lying. Like, am I lying to myself about whether this is interesting? Like, is the founder lying to me? Right? Or is the founder lying to themselves? Like, are they doing it for the right reasons? Like, I'm starting to, it's a little bit like philosophical, but I'm starting to think of that as my job.
I love it. It's not enough to be cool anymore. Motherfuckers need to start telling the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I think venture capital is such a good fit for wannabe founders that actually have just been unable to commit to anything over the course of their career. And I very much find myself in that position. It's like anytime I've ever gone deep on anything, I just was looking around and seeing all the cool shit that was happening everywhere else, and it was just like, what am I doing going deep here? But I want to dig into the inflections you guys are building your firm on top of, because you're taking a pretty different approach, I think, both on the kind of venture capital side and the company building side. So maybe maybe starting with the capital side, like what are some deeply held beliefs in the industry that you just don't think are true anymore?
Interesting. I don't know if I have a really strong take on deeply held beliefs, but here's what I'll say about the firm and like and what I've learned. You know, I'm new to venture capital. I mean, I spent a lot of time in like later stage businesses, consulting for Fortune 100s, like, you know, board observing for billion-dollar companies when I was in private equity. So like I'm more used to much more mature businesses. I will say that everyone says this and knows this, but it's like really true, is that it's a total commodity. And that the number of features actually being sold by venture capital firms is like, it's extremely limited, and any features you do sell are likely commodity. Mm-hmm. And so one of the only features that we're really proud of is we're a small fund. Like Nick could have raised a 100 million plus fund, and he decided not to, because I actually think having a small fund is a feature not only for LPs, because we have to actually produce less value for a specific MOIC, right? Like, we just have to produce less value. Like if you start doing the fund math on like $1 billion fund, you're like, oh my God, they have to produce like
$3 billion of value.
Billions of dollars of value. Yeah. And it's not that we don't want to do that, but the pressure is not there and the math kind of is in our favor. So that's on the LP side. And on the founder side, I think what it means to have a small fund is like we're relatively concentrated. You know, we're looking to make like 15 to 25 bets, let's say. You know, every investment really matters to us. And I think like ultimately when I talk to founders, there are some who want features. They're like, I want intros, I want hiring, you know, all the standard stuff. And I think every investor in the world is going to try their best to try to serve that. But I think the other thing they really want is somebody who gets their business and understands them and who's willing to pick up the phone at 3 a.m. And it's funny because that trust component is not something you can sell. You can't be like, because of this problem I'm talking about, the lying problem, right? It's just like, you can tell someone like, trust me, but like there's a little problem called lying. And so like what we're trying to do is, and Nick has a great track record of doing this, is over 5, 10, 20 years, be like, no, we're actually going to be trustworthy because the one feature that we have, which is being small and concentrated, is aligned as closely as possible with you as a founder. Like we're still pref, but we're as close to the common as humanly possible. And so like, and we're almost purely pre-seed seed investors. And so anyone who comes in later, like we're on the same team thinking about dilution. We're on the same team thinking about the best thing for the company.
Right. So I'm going to work relentlessly to help you succeed alongside my other 300 portfolio companies that I'm actively helping. Yeah.
And I think one of our deeply held beliefs too is like, we can't really help you succeed. And like, this is one of the things I've struggled with as an operator. Like back in the day when I was in private equity, I used to be an operator for Bain Capital. And like, we used to go into these, you know, billion-dollar companies. I used to consult for Michaels and sit down the hall from the CEO and like, be like, hey, I'm a useful 25-year-old. You can use me for whatever. But then if I really think about it, I'm like, was I moving the needle on that business? Like, it's not really clear that I'm moving the needle. And the worst mistake that you can make is thinking that your intervention is positive, but you don't know the counterfactual. So the worst thing you can do is do harm. So like, I try to catch myself all the time as an operator, like, dude, don't tell your founders to do anything. Just don't tell them to do anything. And I still find myself like drawn to doing so, but it's just not our job. And like, quite frankly, if we were so good at it, we should just be founders, you know, at the end of the day.
100%.
So we think about that all the time.
Totally. And then on the company building side, like what technology or like cultural inflections are kind of underwriting this belief that, you know, creativity and artistry are increasingly important to building great companies? I
mean, we have this, there's two parts of this. One is like vibe, which like, that's a lot of venture, right? Is just, look, who do you want to spend 10 years with? Like that's my question when I ask. It's not how can I make money? Because quite frankly, there are easier ways to make money in the world than venture capital, to be quite honest. But I think the opportunity for me and what gets me excited is I get to get married to someone who's like world-class at what they do, obsessed with what they do. So half of the equation around like artistry and creativity for us is just purely about finding obsessives. And like, if I can be around one of the all-time greats in their field for 10 years, like sick, I would do that for free. Like I would help that person for free. And then the other thing I would say is, you know, maybe a smaller theme is AI helps abstract a lot of the kind of like work that we have to do in order to make things. Like that sounds very basic and simple, but like one of the things I think about is, you know, I'm sure you guys have used the one-shot website creation tools like the Lovables of the world. And in that text box, it's always the question like, what are you building today? And I'm always like, it's such an existential question, right? It might as well say like, what's the purpose of your life, right? Like, why are you here, right?
Right.
And I'm realizing with all these enabling technologies, like we're going to be confronted with these higher order questions more and more. And what we're looking for now, like with the rise of LLMs and AI, is like, okay, how can we abstract away all the doing and really focus on the hard whys? And so even when we like talk to founders and try to understand like the company, we're trying not purely to understand the company, but like why are you doing this? Like what are you trying to bring into the world?
Okay, but imagine if Lovable asked you that question on load. That would send me into a beautiful paralysis.
Totally.
Yeah.
But that's the way we should be paralyzed in
Right.
2025, right?
That's
Like what I'm really excited about is getting past the blocking and tackling. Like, here's another tangent, right? We've all been around like the annoying COO, like operator type, who's always like, oh, what processes do we do? Like, well, SOPs. It's like, like, did you fill out your fucking TPS report? Like, no, like we actually are in a position as a society where we can move on from TPS reports. Like, we don't have to worry about like dumb implementation stuff. Like, we get to think about real
class
problems
reference.
now.
Such a good reference. Yeah.
Like what world do we want to live in? Like what beauty do we want to see in the universe? And it's like, so that's what gets us really, really, really excited. And that is the inflection that's happening right now in the universe. And it's like, yeah, we're in the first inning of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think this idea of optimizing for fun, both as like a founder, but also as an investor, and like, that's upstream ultimately of making a lot of money or building something, really useful that people care about. And I think too many people are just focused on the outcome and looking at things through the lens of like, is this going to make me a lot of money? And I think you just can't. You have no idea, right? But if it's a sick team with unique insights and you're going to have a great time, and you're convinced you're going to have a great time building alongside them for 10 years, like that's a great signal.
Totally. And I would even say one more thing about obsessiveness, which I would say obsessiveness is even upstream of fun, because there are people who are obsessed with lots of things. Some people are obsessed with making money. We'll back those people too. Some people want to make money. That right. We struggle more with. Like, I have a friend of mine who thinks the scoreboard of life is net worth. And he's like, I want the highest number on the scoreboard. And I'm like, that's a complete psychopath that I want to back, right? He's obsessed with the art of making money. Like, and so like even this idea of an artist and a creative, I think like maybe I'm stretching the mandate a little bit. It's like it can apply to anything where you're really honing the craft like to the highest level. And we share in our Slack all the time, like top athletes and great artists and stuff like that. But the Rick Rubins of the world, the Scotty Schefflers of the world, who just gave that like great press conference the other day being like, winning is totally empty, but like I just can't help but do it. Like so unbelievable interview.
Versus the like, I want to make enough money to retire in 3 years, or I want to put this in a position to exit. Like that's not an obsessive.
Totally. Totally. Like, as do we all, right? Like as do we all.
Yeah, of course. So one of the things I spend a bunch of time thinking about is just the defensibility and longevity of products in this age we're moving towards. Like, the cost of creating anything is going to zero. Also, the amount of stuff that exists is going infinite. The attention span people have is also going to zero. So like, how do you think about, when you're backing founders, like how do you go make 10-year bets on ideas or founders in this kind of weird, confusing landscape that we exist in?
Man, it is so confusing. If I had an answer, like again, I'd be retired already.
Yeah.
Here's like another tangent, just because my brain goes this way. I was at this Acquired live yesterday. By the way, Ben Gilbert and his partner, they're just totally goats. 5,000 people in Radio City Music Hall. Okay, kids in there listening to a business podcast live. Totally psychotic environment. And there were 3 speakers. There was the CEO of the New York Times, Jamie Dimon, and then Barry Diller of IAC. And what I realized was, like, no offense to her, but the CEO of the New York Times was like kind of wooden. Like, everyone was checking their phones during that. But for Jamie Dimon, people were locked in. And like, why? And I realized that Jamie Dimon only spoke in stories. He wasn't speaking sentences or facts. He was only telling stories. It would be like, oh, what was it like, your first year at Bank One? He wasn't like, oh, well, he didn't do COO talk. He wasn't like, I made everyone fill out their TPS reports. He was like, well, I met this specific person over dinner, and, it was entertaining and it was engaging. And so let me bring that full circle back to what you're saying. I think people want to follow people. And I think people want to follow religions, and people want to follow really great stories. And so I think about like who's going to not like just do the reality distortion, but like create lore and story around the thing, and who has vision. Because like I think one of the great things we're missing in 2025 is like who has vision, like who's a true leader, right? You know, think about the 60s. Like we were like, there were leaders coming out of the woodwork, left, right, and center, right?
Yeah, this unicorn production SaaS era has fucked the visions of a bunch of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, we're kind of on this factory line, and we're kind of just like mass, you know, again, no offense to YC. YC is like an incredible business, but like they're mass manufacturing startups. And so it dilutes kind of like great stories. And so one of the things I'm looking for is just like, is there a singular, almost like Jesus-like figure who can kind of like rally people to their side, be an amazing charismatic storyteller? And you see Jamie Dimon live, like he's that guy. That's why he's like nearly as powerful as the president. Like there's a reason why he's had such a stellar career. I think he has that magnetism of like real humanity, like a no bullshit way of showing up. That's another, you know, way you can trust somebody is just like, you know, they're totally unvarnished. Like they just show up as they are.
Yeah.
Like, they're not pretending to be anything they're not.
Yeah, that's great. This question of like, can this person go be a cult leader for some niche of person? I think, you know, crisis of meaning, people are going to look for things to believe in.
Yeah.
And also like niches are fucking huge now. So if you can go be a cult leader for some group of people and build the thing that they want, you know, we can monetize in crypto at scales we've never seen before. Like you can go just build businesses that have not existed before. So love that. All right, sick man. We're going to have to let you go here. We got Cole waiting to jump on, but really appreciate it.
Appreciate the time.
Thanks so much.
Great show. Love it.
Good luck with the baby. We'll get you back on here soon.
Thanks, man. Bye.
All right. Peace.